my native land. So let me read the poem. So the poem is written by Sir Walter Scott, right? So the poem starts with the idea that's called as a breath's dead, the man with the soul so dead, who never to himself has said, "This is my own, my native land, whose heart has never within him burned, as whom his footsteps he has turned from wandering on a foreign land, strand. If such their breath, go mark him well. For him no minstrel raptures swell. High though his titles, proud his name, boundless his wealth, as wish can claim. Despite those titles, power, and pelf, right? The rage concentrated or concentrate all in self, living shall forfeit fair renown, and dowly dying shall go down to the vile dust from whence he is sprung, unwaped, unhonored, and unsung. So this is something called as a means uh, 17 lines poem, right? You can point out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Sorry, 16 lines poem. But these 16 lines poem indicate about what actually? Are you listening to me, Pritesh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the 16 lines poem indicate about what actually? Uh, the first line of the poem, My Native Land, written by uh, Sir Walter Scott, stated that breathes there the man with the soul so dead. What do you mean by that? Now, there is a man, right, who is physically alive. One who is physically alive. So that is what it is called the breaths, right? There the man with soul so dead. If a person who is physically alive, he is breathing, but emotionally he is dead, right? That is what breaths there the man with the soul so dead. So the man is physical breathing. Breathing means it indicates that he is physically alive, right? So with soul so dead, the meaning of soul so dead is called as a soul is related to the emotion. Emotionally, he is dead. How do you understand that emotionally he is dead? Now, because his soul is dead. Or how do you understand his soul is dead? Now, because when his emotion is dead. So, Scott, the poet, Walter Scott, so who wrote this poem, the poet, pointed out that so death to emphasize that it is a miserable death. What is a miserable death or what is a very sad death? What is a kind of a pathetic death? Now the death where your body is alive because you are breathing, but your soul is dead because you are not emotionally attached. Your emotion is not there. So then you consider that means your soul is dead. So, and that death is nothing but called as a very, pathetic death. That is what the poet say here. Then the second line, the poet says, who never to himself has said, who never to himself has said, this is my own, my native land. Right. Now, why does the poet talk about the beginning of the line by stating that the person is physically alive, but soul is dead? Because he wants to point out for those of the people, right, who never considered or who never to himself has said that the place where they belong to, that this is my own, my native land. So that is why in this line, poet is describing what kind of a person is dead emotionally, what kind of a person is dead, or what kind of a person is facing the miserable death. Now, the person whose soul is dead or whose emotion is not present, to him, a person with a dead soul, right, is the one who has never told himself that his motherland or is his own native land, right? So it means I live in a country that called India. So if I do not consider, or if I do not say that I proud of my country, or how I proud for my country, so in that case you have no attachment with the country, or you have no attachment with your native land where you have burned, right? Where you have burned and brought up, right? So the poet stated to those people that they have simply what? Means they have simply a dead soul, or called as a dead emotion is dead. So that is what the poet state, that this is my own, my native land. If somebody doesn't say that, then it means so he is physically alive, but his soul is dead. So whose heart has never within him burned, whose heart has never within him burned. It means by this phrase, the poet means that who is that person who has no heart? Who is the person whose heart is destroyed within him? That the poet has never seen such kind of a person, right? So who doesn't say that the place where he belongs to, right, that he doesn't love to that, or he doesn't love to that native land. So that is why, means a person who says that his emotion is dead or his heart is destroyed within himself. So therefore the poet said, whose heart has never within him burned, is called as a emotionally dead, and his soul is dead, right? And his death is nothing but called as a miserable death, right? As home his footsteps, as home his footsteps, he has turned from wandering on a foreign strand, right? As home his footsteps, as uh, whom his footsteps he has turned from wandering on a foreign strand. Now, these two lines are the answer to previous questions that poet poses. According to him, if a person does not return to his native land, according to the poet, that a person doesn't means love to his nation, right? Love to his native land, not taking the name of his land, and is lost within the environment of the place where he lives. Let's say that I am from India and I migrate to any of the foreign country, and I do not want to return my country, or called as a I live completely all my life uh, in the foreign country, right? So it means, yeah, the foreign country. It means I lack what? I lack my heart. I lack a heart. Or this story is all about the patriotism. The meaning of patriotism is called as a love for the country, right? Now, if you look into the further, this person, this person, hello, What did you say?
Yes, sir. I am that my voice is clear or something like that.
Louder, your voice is not clear. Are you there in the poem or somewhere else? Hello, Pritish. Can you hear me?
Now my voice is clear.
Yeah, your voice is clear. Tell me.
Means this poem indicates that means this poem indicates that means he doesn't want to go to his native land. He wants to stay in another country.
No, 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 not like that. See, the poet, Sir, means the poet who means that is called as Sir Walter Scott. The poet, Sir Walter Scott, states the idea, presents the idea that he loves his country the most, right? The poet states that he loves his country the most. The poet wants to convey a message to all those other people, right, who means born in a particular land, brought up in that land, and go to other places and do not come back to their land, or they means do not take the name of their land where they belong to. So it means those people do not love to their country. It means, let's say that Pritish was born and brought up in Odisha, and he goes to Chennai, and there he settled. There he means live forever. When he was asked where his native place, so he did not tell the name of the place, Odisha, where he belongs to, right? So, or called as a, he doesn't return to Odisha at all. So it means he doesn't love to the native land where he was born and brought up. Are you getting my point? That's what the poet states.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, that is why the poet says that those people who do such kind of things, so they do not have the heart, right? So, or they do not have the soul. Their soul is dead. So their emotion is dead. Their love for the native land is dead. So they do not love to their native land, right? So the poet here clearly stated, as home his footsteps he has turned from wandering on a foreign strand. It means that called as according to the poet, if any person doesn't return to his native land and is lost within the environment of a foreign country, the person lacks a heart. It means he doesn't have emotion for the place where he burns or brought up, right? Burnt or brought up. So if the next line is stated, if such their breath, go mark him well. So the poet wants to say that if you find such person exist who has no love for his native land or motherland, you can blame that person, right? That what? Now he doesn't have the soul. His soul is dead, and death is nothing but a miserable death, right? He doesn't have the heart. That is what the poet say. For the poet, no minstrel raptures well. For him, no minstrel rapture swell. It means the meaning of minstrel, minstrel. The meaning of minstrel is a traditional singer, right? Traditional singer a means a person, right, who sings, who wanders from one place to the other place, singing song, and those songs are emotionally very touchy for his living. So here it is also stated raptures. So raptures means what? Extreme joy and happiness. Whereas swell means to increase in volume or quantity. So by this line, the poet means that no any minstrel means no any traditional singer is going to sing a song for him and about him. No any minstrel will increase his happiness, right? So here the minstrel is referring to the traditional singer. So that's why when the poet said, for him no minstrel raptures a swell. For him, no minstrel raptures well means what? That's something called as a no traditional singer. So who sings the joy of happiness, right? Or extreme joy and happiness, increase in the volume or quantity, right? That no one is going to do that. No one is going to sing a song for him and about him, right? No one wants to increase his happiness. High though his title, high though his title, proud his name, boundless his wealth, as we can claim, right? So the poet means that even though a person is extremely rich, when he say that high though his title, proud his name, maybe the person who got the position, very high position, maybe the person who is very famous, right? Maybe the person, right, who is rich, has a great fame, and is proud of it, means, name or fame, right? So means that person also, right, if doesn't love to the country, doesn't love to his native land, right, can be also claimed that his soul is dead. Despite those titles, power and pelf, the rich concentrated all in self. It means despite all his wealth, prestige. So you can say wealth, power and pelf. It means prestige and power or power and prestige. So the rich means called as the man who is very sad, right? The man is a sad person because a person who is concentrated all about himself or herself is nothing but a selfish person. He is a poor person despite the enormous wealth. Despite the enormous wealth means despite he have means huge wealth or extremely rich, right? Still also means that person will be known as a selfish person, right? So he doesn't have the heart. He doesn't have the means soul. He doesn't have the emotion. His emotion, his soul is dead, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So forfeit, leaving shall forfeit fair renown. Leaving shall forfeit fair renown. So the poet is stating the man is alive, but that man should be penalized, punished, all his fame, right? So penalized, punished, all his fame, doubly dowing, right? So living shall forfeit. So his fame is no huge. Renown means fame, right? His fame has no use because means he doesn't love to his native land. The poet states that such kind of people, they live, right? They are alive, but they are means or they are of no use because their fame is no use, right? Because they don't love for their own country, right? So the poet also say, and dowly dying shall go down, and dowly dying shall go down. It means here by dowly dying poet, dowly dying poet means such an unpatriotic person, right? Dowl, dowl means dowly, dowly means two times, double. Dying, dying means death. So the person dies two times, right? So the poet means that, and the person dies two times, right? Such an unpatriotic person. Unpatriotic means who doesn't love to his country, who doesn't love to his native land, right? So such kind of a person is known as unpatriotic person, and that person dies two times. So, how? Now, once he dies due to his physical death. Physical death means when his breath stops or when he unable to breathe, he dies once, right? And the other one is called as a when he is not remembered by means anyone after his death, right? So, along with his death, he also dies from the memory of people, right? That is why the poet states that such kind of a person die two times, right? Now, why such kind of a person means the poet mentioned? Because the poet wants to convey the idea that such kind of a person referred to the person who doesn't love to his country, such kind of a person who doesn't means return to his native land, such kind of a person who have no means uh, you can talk about means no thought about his native land, right? So they lack the heart, they means do not return the land, they means they do not want to take the name of the native land, right? So such kind of a people have lost their emotion for their native land, and that's why the poets say that they also fade the memory of theirs from the people, and that become one of the death of him, right? So another death when his body stops breathing. So it is nothing but the death of the physical body, right? So the poet at the end stated that to the vile dust from where he sprung, to the vile dust from where he sprung. It means his dead body turns into an ash. Ash means that's something called as a, after fired, right? After getting fired means rest of the things means uh, the rest of the things that you find out is called as a nothing but ash or ashes, right? So the poet stated that to the vile dust from where he sprung, his dead body turned into an ashes, and it mixed with the dirt, or it mixes with the dirt, right? Dirt means that's something called as a dust, right? That's something called as a soil within the ground from where he learned to crawl, from where he came out, right? From where he came out, like when a person means when a baby burnt, so what does he do now, or what does it do? it crawls, it moves slowly on the ground, isn't it? It slowly moves
Yes, sir.
on the ground. So the poet said that it is nothing but called as a sprung, right? So, and once the baby grows into the human being and leave the place and means leave the place and leave somewhere else, right? After his death, right? So his body turns into ashes. And what happened? Now that body turns into ashes and nothing but means mixed into the dirt or dust within the ground. So from where he was brought up, from where means he was taken, so from there it goes, right? From where he is taken, so there it goes. So that's what the poet says, to the vile dust from where he sprung. It means his dead body turns into an ashes and it mixes with the dust or dirt within the ground, from where means he learned to crawl, right? So that is what, to the wild dust. Wild dust means that something called as a dust that found from the ground, right? Where uh, it mixes, right? Where it mixes means, and where it has come out, right? So the poet also said,
So,
yes,
sir, so this poem indicates that we should love our native land where we were born and where we started.
yes,
So if we, for example, if a person means born at one place and he doesn't want and he gone to another place like in India or foreign like another place.
yeah,
So he settled there and he doesn't come to his native land where he born and started to learn and all.
yeah,
So you told that that person doesn't have any feeling, soul and heart.
yes, yes, yes.
No. So those are very bad and all.
Yeah. So that
That no, but they have feeling.
yes,
But if where we say, but we should come to our native land. That this indicates.
yes. So
If he doesn't come to our so our means that what that uh, relatives or some people who love us there in that. So they will be saying, no, he's not coming like that. He will be dead in in their heart. That person
yes. So
like
fine.
that.
So look into the last line, where the last line stated unwept, unhonored, and unsung. Right. So the poet clearly stated that when that person dies, right, he mixes into the uh, dust. He mixes into the dust of the ground and turns into an ashes, right? And mixes into the ground, where he learned to crawl. And no one unwept means no one cried. The meaning of weeping. So unwept means no one cries, and unhonored, right? So when the person dies, no one drops tear, right, from his death, or means no one shows the kind of sadness for his death. So no one drops tear in his death. And unhonored means no one also respects him at the time of a funeral, right? So
Yes, no.
huh?
So means because means he doesn't come to his native land means main place.
Mm.
So people will not respect him and all. So why they will cry and
Yes.
respect?
No one drops tear in his death. No one shows respect to him at the time of funeral. And no one is there to tell the funeral prayer for him. Right. So Therefore, means the poet says that it is his another death. It is his another death. So that is what the poet states throughout the poem. So the poem is clearly tells about what? Clearly tells about the poet's love for his country. It shows that the kind of a patriotism that the poet shows towards his nation, his native land, right? And that's what he detailed or he discussed thoroughly in this poem. If I tell you in a very means a quick manner or summing of all. So we could find out Sir Walter Scott's poem My Native Land is designed to discuss the importance of one's native land. So the poet wishes to evoke a sense of pride and love for an individuals for his or her country, right? So the poem also discovers the implication of what happens when one is stripped of land and identity associated with it. Stripped of land, it means detached from his land or her land, and also detached the identity associated with its land, right? So the poet wants to convey the man means swells with pride and feels happy and excited deep in his heart as he sets foot into any other native place, any other land, right? So the poet suggested that means see he loses his patriotic feeling, right? So he loses his patriotic feeling because, according to the poet, one must feel pride, one must feel happy, one must keep the deep emotion, right? For whom? Now, for the native land where he was born and brought up, right? A man who has no love for his country and feels ashamed or feels insulted of accepting his identity in a means foreign land, right? The soul of such person is considered dead. It means the emotion is dead, even if he is still living, right? It is the death of one's soul, which is more miserable, more pathetic than of death of a physical body. It means that the person is alive, but his life has no meaning or no use. According to the poet, a person who has turned away his footsteps from his native land and never returned is not capable of trustworthy towards his country, loyalty towards his country or her country, doesn't feel a sense of belonging to his own country. When the man returns home from his travels in foreign country, he feels no pride or excitement. His money, he might have the money, he might have the position, he might have the power, right? That attracts him, and he strives to return to the foreign land for its power and position and money. So such a person will not be respected by his fellow men, right? And no singers sing song of praise for him, even if he earns titles, riches, and accolades, right? As these are futiles. These are futiles because they are earned for selfish motives, without any love for one's land. According to the speaker, the man's devotion, right, to his nation or her nation, right, the man or woman devotion or dedication to his or her nation is of more value than his wealth, power, and position, right? So the poet talks about what? the poet talks about a dual death, two death, doubly dying death, doubly dying. So what is that? A person who does not love his country or her country, so would die two times because he or she will be ignored, not to be remembered by his own fellow men or contemporaries, and totally forgotten after his or her death. Therefore, he or she will be physically and uh, die in people's memories, regardless of his or her social status, wealth, and fame, and the emotional death from being wiped out uh, from people's memories. So when he or she dies, he or she will go to the useless dust, right? Useless dust of the ground where he was burned year, decades ago or many decades ago, right? After his or her death, so no one will sing song for him, or no one will cry for him, no one will give respect to him, or shed tears for him or for his loss. He will be left uncelebrated. No one will celebrate, or no one will means sing the funeral song for him, no matter how much money he saves all through his life. It is almost as what? It is almost as if not leaving your own country is nothing but a curse or called as a sin. This shows how means profound means how deep the poet's love for his country. Failing to love according to his failing to love for one's own country was equivalent to curse or sin or bad, according to the poet's eyes. And it was as if serving means one's own country was equal to serving to God, right? That's what the poet states in the poem. I'm clear? What is
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay? I hope you understood the poem very well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I told you. So this poem states like that, like that. I
Okay.
understood means.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. Means we'll meet in the next class. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, sir.
Mm.